and welcome to the Astro Forecast for the week of May 23rd to May 30th. This is quite the week. It's a action-packed week full of a super full moon eclipse, total eclipse, and Mercury is going retrograde. Saturn just went retrograde last week, and now Mercury is as well. So this is a week full of emotional sensitivity. It is, there's fire in here with Sagittarius. There's a lot of mutable energy, which means there's not a lot of structure. It feels like your days are shifting and changing, and you feel like you get nothing done, or maybe your attention span is kind of going all over the place. So you're not alone. You're not alone. And you can put in some coping skills or some, I would say, some guidelines into your day to help you with that. So for example, with scrolling on social media with all this mutable energy, maybe put a timer on your phone for 5 minutes. So that kind of limits you from, it reminds you of how much time has gone by, which is something I do. So hopefully that helps you. All right, so Monday, May 24th is a holiday here in Canada, and there is no major aspects on this day, although the super full moon is on Wednesday. We're already starting to feel the building up of the pressure for that. So it's going to feel like Monday, there is 4 aspects to the moon that are going to make it an intense day. So just feeling very emotional on this day. You might be feeling really not making any big relationship decisions on this day will be really important for you, because you could just feel very triggered on this day. Wednesday, we're coming into the super full moon total eclipse in Sagittarius. Now, why is this such an important thing? Well, first of all, very rare for an eclipse to happen at the super full moon. So that means when the moon is closest to the Earth in its orbit, it's actually an elliptical orbit around the Earth. So it's not perfectly circle. It actually kind of swings closer to the Earth and further way out into space. So for the eclipse to happen, now an eclipse is in a full moon stage, is where the sun and the moon are opposite each other in the zodiac and the Earth is in between, and it's lining up perfectly so that the shadow from the sun of the Earth hits the moon at the exact right time, and almost kind of turns it like this dark red. In ancient times, it was considered a bad omen. It was a time when the shadows would come out, all the secrets will be revealed. And that is kind of this full moon. There's a lot of secrets to be revealed. This is about information. In astrology, an eclipse happens when the full moon or the new moon happens near the nodes of the moon. Now, the nodes of the moon are just kind of these imaginary points on the moon, but they signify a very important thing. So the south node is the karmic past of the collective, and the north node is our karmic destiny, where we are trying to get to, and the south node is what we releasing, or what are we using to propel us into our future. So this is a south node eclipse, which means we are releasing full moon, things that are no longer serving us as a collective to evolve into where we are going to go. Now, the south node is in Sagittarius at this point. North node is in Gemini. So the next new moon is going to be an eclipse, because eclipses come in pairs, and that new moon eclipse is happening on June 11th. So that is a kind of, you almost kind of think of it as a portal closing and a portal opening, or an ending and a beginning, or a releasing and a planting of stage. So there's these these 2 things are very important, and their effects, depending on where they hit in your chart, if they're hitting something really important in your chart, like a cusp or a planet, then you are going to feel it very deeply. For the collective, it's considered an evolutionary leap forward. So for the south node, we are going to be releasing as a collective things that are Sagittarius in nature. So that is the justice system, that is knowledge, that is things that we thought about. Sagittarius is about adventure. And we are on an adventure for sure with this pandemic, but it is about higher knowledge. It's the gap between, or the kind of the bridge between man and heaven, or God, as they say. And so there's that consciousness, that intelligence that raises the collective to seek higher forms of knowledge. That's Sagittarius. So it's really culture, Sagittarius, travel, long distance travel, really soaking in adventure. Sagittarius is the arrow, that's the symbol of the arrow, the archer, and it's just kind of throws its arrow or shoots its arrow into the horizon, and it kind of follows the arrow wherever it may go. So Sagittarius, if you know anyone who's Sag, I have a Sag moon, my daughter's a Sagittarius, and it's just this wild heart that wants to go on and explore and on a journey. And they don't like rules. They don't like being boxed in. They really need freedom. It's mutable fire. So during this full moon solar eclipse, full moon eclipse in Sagittarius, super full moon, we're going to feel like there's a lot of mutable energy in this. And so we're going to feel like we're kind of restless. We want to go do things. And maybe we're feeling a little bit, held back by some of these rules or, personas or identities that we think that we have instead, that we have to be instead. So where can we learn more about ourselves that we can then kind of really elevate humanity by really going after what is our soul purpose? Where are we meant to go now? Now there's a square to Jupiter. Now Jupiter expands whatever it touches. And when Jupiter is squaring both the moon and the sun during this eclipse, this full moon, what's happening is it's a magnifier. It's magnifying our issues. It's magnifying the misinformation that maybe we had, or maybe it's outdated information. Maybe somebody told you this is the best it's going to get. One of the things I hear a lot from my clients is that you should be happy that you have a job. You should be happy that you are in a career. You should be happy that you have money. And they're like, yeah, I guess I should feel money. Like it's almost like this shaming of ungratefulness. And the fact of the matter is, if you're not happy, no matter how much money you have in the bank account, no matter how good you look, no matter how many clothes you have or cars you have, if you are unhappy, there is an unmet need there from your soul. And how can you then dive deeper into that shadow and realize it's okay to not be happy because your soul purpose isn't being fulfilled? And look at all of these wonderful gifts that we get to now use to move into this life that does feel fulfilling. You are on an adventure, Sagittarius, on a journey. And if you can release these, self-limiting beliefs or these shoulds of shame that we have, that how much better could life be? This is what this eclipse is going to be bringing up for you. Now, there's two really helpful aspects during this eclipse. So one is Mars, the planet of our motivation and desires, are sitting in Cancer, which is a very sensitive sign. So Cancer is a sign of our home. It is inner development. It's our inner foundation. It is who we are at our core, and where do we feel safe to be ourselves? And so Mars is going to be trining Neptune, which is our intuition. It is spirituality. It is devotion, one love, idealism. And so to have Mars and Neptune working together, this is about, can you shore up your inner foundation by listening to your soul and taking action in the direction in which your soul is telling you, in which your intuition is telling you. Your intuition is going to be really strong. There's a lot of sensitivity now in the air. So if you're feeling really turbulent, getting back into grounding, doing your white light bubble, doing the self-care things that you do for yourself to make you feel better, and filling up your cup with joy. It's really important to do that at this time of the full moon. Now, there is one aspect that's going to be kind of putting things a little bit more turbulent, and that is Mercury is going to be slowing down to go retrograde. So Mercury just goes slower than the Earth when it goes retrograde. Mathematically, it's going backwards because it's going slower than the Earth. But in actuality, it just looks like in the sky that it's just slowing down, and then it looks like it's going backwards in our sky. But it's not. It's just that the Earth has sped up, or well, it's slowed down and the Earth is speeding past it. It's not that the Earth sped up. So what's happening during this time is Venus and Mercury are sitting next to each other. And what does that mean? So Venus is what we love and value, and Mercury is our mind. It is our communication. It is the way that we process thought. It is our coordination. It is anything that's kind of moving, right? It's the messenger of our words. It's our listening as well. So Mercury and Venus sitting next together. Venus is what we love and value: money, beauty, relationships, love. Anything art is considered Venus, Venusian, and anything that we indulge in desire is Venus as well. So to have these two things, desire can be what we desire is Venus, desire itself is Mars. But to have these two planets working together, Mercury and Venus, this is like we are thinking about what we love and value. And in Gemini too, it's like we're learning more about the things that light us up. So maybe this is a great time to take a course or to learn something new or to read a book, to really go in the direction of where do you want to go, right? What is it that you're wanting to evolve into being in this time of your life? Because what's happening now with this whole pandemic, and this started back on December 14th. We had a new moon in Sagittarius. So this is kind of tying off some things that were kind of planted at that time in your life. And as you're coming into that fruition of, seeing it in a new way, you are now asking yourself, what's the next step? Where am I going now? What do I want to do? One of my favorite groups to run is Skyrocket into Your Passion and Purpose, where I help people step into what is it that they want to do. And we use your astrology as the roadmap to where are you meant to go in this lifetime. And it's absolutely fascinating what you can see in an astrological chart. So in this time, what's happening with Venus and Mercury sitting next to each other, and it's going to be squaring, which is a relationship of tension to Neptune. So this is a time where you're feeling like disillusioned or disappointed that what you thought was supposed to bring you joy isn't bringing you joy. And you have to come to terms with that, right? And that sort of feels like it's hard because you think all of this isn't really what you want. What I'll reframe that for you in that everything has led you here to this moment to then get you to the next step, right? And so I'll give you the example. I thought I was going to be a doctor. My whole life, I wanted to be a pediatrician because I love babies. And then I got to university and I'm like, calculus doesn't love me. So I'm not going to become a doctor because I need to have those sciences to get there. And so I decided, you know what, instead, I think I want to be a lawyer. I really loved Law 300. I had to take it in intersession or summer school in university to make up for some credits because I failed calculus. And to keep my scholarships, I had to keep my credits up. So took Law 300. I loved Law 300, like aced it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm meant to be a lawyer. So changed my major, went into business and graduated with a business major in law and economics and a minor in HR. Loved law. I thought I was going to do this thing. Went and wrote the LSAT, which is the law entrance exam, 50th percentile. Did not do well. And I was like, what is this? Right. And it's a lot of like, not common sense, but working out problems that are like a lot of, I draw them out. I'm a very visual learner. And I guess I wasn't really understanding it. I didn't think that way. So instead, I decided I'm not going to be beat. I got a tutor. I got all the books. I did all the prep exams. I invested a lot in myself to pass this exam. I got a tutor even. I took tutoring classes and I wrote the test and I got 50th percentile again. And I was like, oh, well, that's a bummer. Like, I guess I'm not going to do law school. So I thought, well, no, I want to do law school. I want to be a lawyer. What else am I going to be? I'm not really qualified for anything. I've been working in the restaurant industry my whole life. And so I ended up getting into U of A and UBC, University of Alberta, University of British Columbia, for an after degree. Because I thought if I'll do a 2-year after degree in something that's interesting to me, and then I'll use those 2 years to really ramp up my marks, try the LSAT again. But if my marks are super high, I might be able to get in based on that. So I thought I'd do it again. So I got in. I accepted at UBC because my now husband proposed to me and I moved out to BC to be with him. I took 1 week of bullshit courses and I went, screw this. This is not my life. And so I dropped out. I got all my money back and I just started working, started serving at the different kegs. My husband worked for Keg head office at that time. And then a job opened up at Keg head office in purchasing. So not only did I have this business degree, but then I had like over 10 years of experience in the restaurant industry. My dad's a chef, literally born into the restaurant industry. So here was a job that it was purchasing for the Keg, purchasing manager. And so I was able to use my restaurant information, my knowledge and my university degree together to do this job. I was like, what the heck? What are the chances of that? And I had to live in Vancouver for that. So life took me out there for this to happen, but I didn't go out there thinking I was going to be working for the Keg. I actually went out there thinking I was going to do this law degree eventually. So life had to take me there to get me to the next step. And so I'm going to say that I don't tell that story to everybody. I don't have a problem with telling the story, but I'm going to say it's important for you to hear the story because it was meant for you. It came out of my mouth and I fully trust my intuition. So in that, if where in your life have you come to in your life that you thought, man, this isn't where I thought I was going to be, but there's an opportunity to take this step to the next. You couldn't get to the next step if you didn't get here. So whether you knew it was your destination or not, your soul did, is what I'll say to that. So where is your next step now that you've come from here, and appreciate everything that has brought you to this time in your life? And now where do you go? Where do you go with that? I'd love to help you figure it out if that's something that's interesting for you. So as we move into Thursday, May 27th, we now have a day of a lot of emotions again. And the reason for that is we have 4 aspects to the moon that are not easy. So there's an inconjunct to Mars, making you very irritable. There's an opposition to Venus, feeling like you're lowering your standards, or maybe you don't feel good about yourself, or you're feeling insecure. And then there's a square to Neptune, which is very emotional. And then there's an opposition to Mercury, which feels insecure, anxious, and irrational. So it is a rough day. It might not be a rough day for you, but the moon is giving you some not so helpful things on this day. And then Venus is going to be square to Neptune exact on this day. So we already felt that on the full moon eclipse, but this one is going to feel exact. Now, what does that mean? It means Venus, what we love and value, feels murky. It doesn't feel like we can understand it. So maybe you got it, your tax bill, or you're feeling like financially you're not feeling great about yourself, or maybe physically you're looking at your body and thinking, all this COVID weight, what the hell? Where do I want to go instead? So insecurity of self, looking at how you feel about yourself, you feel like you don't fit in, a distortion maybe between what you love and value and reality, disappointment in your love life in some way, or maybe in your money house in some way, and a poor self-discipline or poor self-esteem. So this day, it can be a very emotional day of disappointments, distortion, and disillusion. Do not make any major decisions or conclusions on this day. I'm going to say it now. If you have something major pending that you already started before this day, or before the solar eclipse, or sorry, before the full moon eclipse, don't worry. That's okay. But don't start anything new on this day, especially relationships, especially contracts. Do not start anything new. We're already into the Mercury retrograde at this point. It's stationary retrograde. So things are just going to feel like you're not hearing the information right. And that's okay. Check for understanding, be an active listener, and take notes. Do not rely on your memory to get you through this week. It's not going to happen. So write things down. So yeah, just to give yourself some space on Thursday. Saturday, Mercury is going retrograde in Gemini. Now, Mercury rules Gemini and also rules Virgo. So if you have a lot of Gemini, Virgo in your chart, or you're a Gem or Virgo, then you will feel this. Now, if you were born with Mercury in retrograde in your chart, then you will notice that it feels like a coming home. This is like, it's no big deal. I get that a lot with my clients. They're like, oh, I've never really had a problem with Mercury retrograde. And sure enough, we look in their chart, they're born with Mercury retrograde. So it doesn't affect everybody the same way. But what I'll say as a Virgo, this is my ruling planet. I can feel it as soon as Mercury starts to slow down. The words don't come out of my mouth. Mercury rules speaking. My thoughts feel jumbled. Even my writing just goes to crap. I can't even read my own writing sometimes when Mercury goes retrograde. Mercury rules communication. It rules anything that has moving parts. The internet's not really, but it's like the emails would be, letters, words, conversations, that's all Mercury. And it's, contracts and things like that are also Mercury. So this is going to be a really important time to not overtalk. This is a good time to listen, and anything that you have been working on for communication, let's say even in like your website or emails or conversations you've had, this is a good time to go over those things and reassess, redo, review. All these RE words are very Mercury retrograde. Now, because it's in Gemini, this is a very cerebral Mercury retrograde. And so there's going to be a lot of thinking and rethinking. So make sure you're not overthinking things. I think that's another kind of possibility with this Mercury retrograde, that you overthink and then now you've created problems that never existed before. So this isn't, do not make assumptions. I'm going to say that for this whole Mercury retrograde and this week. Do not assume. It will get you in the end. So really checking, how do I know that's true? If you've heard of the work of Byron Katie, where she asked 4 questions, and I will not remember all 4 questions on this, but what I will say is, how is it true? How do you know it's true? What would happen if it wasn't true? And I can't remember the 4th question. So, but I love that because it's just kind of going, wait, do we know that? And oftentimes when I'm listening to a client tell me a story about something that's happening in their life, I'll actually stop them and go, wait, you said that you thought this. Do you know that's true? And it's a core belief to the issue. And when we kind of dig into it, the fact of the matter is they don't know it's true, but they've assumed it to be true. And then that creates a whole host of other issues. The fact of the matter is you don't know. And when you don't know something to be true and you assume it to be true, it can carry weight that it doesn't even exist, right? I know that sounds kind of convoluted, but think about it. So what I'm going to say is really check for understanding. Did you actually hear what you thought you heard? Do you know that this assumption is true? Get to the bottom of it before you move any further in actioning something that you feel was a wrong, before you kind of really understand it. Ask some questions. So communication mishaps, misunderstandings. This is a great time to reimagine, rethink, reflect, review. Do not trust your memory. Reassess matters of relationships, money, self-esteem, and beauty. Do not sign contracts, plan for your travel delays, and do not buy major electronics during this time. What will happen is when Mercury goes direct, you will find that there's something wrong. Now, of course, life happens and you have to sign contracts and you have to move ahead on things. So if that's the case, really read the fine print, get a lawyer to look it over. If you're buying real estate, get a real estate agent to look it over, and just be like super meticulous about the details. It's going to be important, or you will get screwed over when Mercury goes direct. And Mercury will go direct on June 22nd, I believe. Yeah, June 22nd. So it won't be out of shadow until July 8th. So I wouldn't make any major decisions until at least July, when it starts to kind of gain some momentum moving forward. Of course, you have nothing, life moves ahead. You can't just stop because the astrology says so, but just do it cautiously. Really do it cautiously. And then Sunday, Venus is going to be in conjunct Pluto. Now, for those of you who do follow astrology, an inconjunct is sometimes called a quincunx, and it's a 150-degree angle, and it's like a kink in the energy. I don't often talk about it because it's not considered sort of a major angle, but it is important, especially in this aspect, because it's a need for adjustment between 2 energies. So whenever Venus and Pluto have a relationship, it's intense. Venus is what we love and value, and Pluto is death, rebirth, and transformation, revolution, right? It is the shadow. So in this aspect is we have to look at, what do we love and value? What are we valuing? What are we lusting after? And how do we now figure out whether it's good for us or it's not? And why are we lusting after it? And why haven't we got it yet? What is holding us back from getting the thing that we want? Right? Maybe it's money. Maybe it's the hot body for summer. Maybe it's art. Maybe it's the house you wanting looking the way it is, right? Venus is how things look and the facade of it. And so the shadow is what's holding us back from that. Or maybe, where are we not loving ourselves and we're being so hard on ourselves? So intense emotional experiences, hard on the people we love, or people we love are hard on us. A need to face the shadow of Venus, of what the things that we love and value. Changes that need to be made will become very obvious now. So it's almost like you can't look away from them. Something will happen. Maybe it's something to do with your health, or maybe something to do with your money, or maybe something to do with relationships in your life, that they're just like, hey, you're not being a good friend. And you're like, I'm sorry. And then there's a couple of aspects that are kind of hard to the moon on this day as well. Moon is going to be next to Saturn. Now these moon cycles happen at least once a month, depending on what it is, sometimes twice a month. It's like a square or sextile, it could be multiple times a month. But with this one, it happens once a month, every month. But because it's happening on this Venus in conjunct Pluto, it's going to add more fire to this day. So this is hard on ourselves, and Moon is going to be squaring Uranus, which is erratic emotions. So Sunday, not a great day to have deep conversations with people, to air dirty laundry in terms of like talking or gossiping. Not good, because that'll come back onto you in some way. And this is a great day to just reflect and just think about where you want to go instead, and all the great things that you have in your life. I'll end off this session with something that I was talking to a client with. You have two piles in your life. You have a pile of shit and you have a pile of gold. Everyone has the pile of shit and the pile of gold. Now, ideally, what we want to do is reduce the pile of shit and increase the pile of gold, right? That is what we are all trying to do. But if you can, if you're focusing only on the pile of shit, which a lot of times when people start seeing me, that's where they're at, right? This is my life. This sucks. I can't believe it. Oh my God, my relationship sucks. My husband's mean to me. These things are happening. Now, not to minimize true and actual, trauma, and everyone is experiencing their life as true and actual, but I'm not minimizing kind of trauma. This is about our focus in our day-to-day life. Okay, so we have this pile of shit. We can think about life is terrible and these aren't working out and I need to do all these things and money is going out, money, blah, blah, blah. Or I can focus on all the things I have. I have the ability to pay my bills. I have the ability to turn on the lights. I have the ability to have indoor plumbing. I have this ability I have this wonderful bed that I love to lay my head down on every day. Can you feel the energy already shifting? I can feel the energy already shifting. So if you're focusing on the pile of shit, your life will take that tone forever until you switch to look at, listen, I've got this pile of gold over here. Yeah, I got this pile of shit. This isn't about bypassing the shit. Okay, that's not what this is. We're not doing that. But we're focusing on this while minimizing that. Does that make sense? So we're focusing on the pile of gold and we're minimizing the pile of shit. And that's what this week is all about, minimizing the shit. And don't forget about this pile of gold over here. That's going to be so important this week and really for the rest of your life. Take it for yourself. I give it to you as my present. All right. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you and all your support. If this has helped you in some way, you know what I'd love for you? If you could post below what was one nugget of gold that you heard in this forecast that really resonated with you or has helped you in some way this week. Maybe you come back and you post it, or sometimes some people will come back and watch this after the week is over and go, oh, that's why that happened. Or some people watch it ahead of time to get themselves ready. So either way, I'd love for you to post below something that you heard in this video that really resonated with you. I'm so curious as to, I see that a lot of people watch it, but I don't know what you really take away from it or what helps you. So I can do more of that. I would love to do more of that. So wishing you a wonderful week, navigating these crazy waters of the energy this week. Remember, you have your intuition, you have your self-care. Go into that. You really use that to nurture yourself and be compassionate to yourself and others this week. Have a great week. Thanks for being here.